What is up, everybody? Welcome back to GT Online, and in this video I'm going to take a look at the Entity MT, which I would say is probably going to be everybody's favorite car besides the 300R in this update. But if you guys might have been wondering, this vehicle is going to cost you about $2.3 million to buy it. And do keep in mind, by the way, which is kind of awesome, is you can actually bring this thing into House Special Works Garage and make this thing even faster. So the description of the car is basically saying this car is going to be insanely fast, which I have a feeling it probably will be. But let's move over to House Special Works Garage right now, guys, which I did decide to come over here already. That was actually the first thing I wanted to check with this vehicle to make sure you can do that. I was hearing there was rumors apparently with this car being in the files for this, so let's go do that now. I also did look at the upgrade for this, and it's not going to be a cheap thing to do, so I want to warn you guys right now, if you do want to get this vehicle and or max it out, be prepared to spend like $3.3 million or so on this car. It's definitely going to be pretty dang expensive, but I would definitely say this car is going to be well worth it for that matter. So let's show the options. Mod vehicle right now over here in this little piece of light under the garage of this place here, but I also might have to make this car white. But nonetheless, guys, the HSW upgrade, $850,000 I would say is going to be well worth it. Let's buy that right now. Add the armor to it. I don't know why I don't do 100% armor. I personally don't really see a point of doing that. So the bumpers now, there's going to be a good amount. And I was noticing, by the way, guys, if you were to customize this vehicle in like Los Santos Customs, and or if you were in like your own garage and you were in HSW, there is going to be less customization if you guys don't buy the HSW upgrade, which I have a feeling most people on next gen are probably going to get this for this car. And it looks like even without this upgrade, I would say this thing is going to be insanely quick though. But let's see, I think I'm going to go with one of the forged bumpers on the front of this thing. Looks kind of nice, but also that street one does look cool. Let's go with the carbon actually. Rear bumpers here, there's going to be more. So I noticed on the regular one as well, I think there's only one or two you could do to it. So for this, guys, I will probably go with this one right here, most likely. I think that one looks pretty cool. Moving down to the canyons now, I would say are probably going to look kind of insane on this vehicle. I might not add these to it, even though the regular Jesco does have those, and or the Yesco. Let me know in the comments below, guys, how do you actually pronounce it? I've seen so many different ways to pronounce it, I really don't know which one it is. But for me, I'm going to leave off the canyons on this car as well. Let's do the engine upgrade, so $60,000 for that. And there's going to be 15 exhausts for this, basically 14 if you include the one that's on there. Do titanium, we have the Infinity, then we have the, looks like kind of like a Pagani's exhaust there as well, kind of like that a bit. Then I do believe that might actually be the exhaust that is on the back of this car. I will have to take another look at this vehicle, but I think I'm going to go with this one here. Yeah, I'll go with the expansive. I almost said expensive, nice. Moving over to the hood though, we have 20 of these that can go on the car. So obviously we have the forged parts, which is kind of funny. The more I look at the forged parts, the more I actually like them for this car, guys. I mean, I would say so far in the update, this is probably going to be everybody's favorite vehicle. At least that's what I have noticed. I did do the pinstripe hood, by the way. That does look pretty sweet. I just personally feel like a lot of people will end up going after this car compared to some of the others because I really do think this thing is sweet. And not only that, if you are on next gen, you can actually make this thing probably dumb fast. I can't wait to drive it, and you'll be able to use this on these Special Works time trials as well. So at least it mixes up the gameplay. I'm sure many people are looking for that. So let's do the lights here. I actually didn't know, by the way, guys, that you could change the lights in here, so that's pretty cool. And for this car, I might actually do the lights here. Let's go with the electric blue lights. $40,000 on lights, that's exactly how it should be. Moving over to the liveries now, so we have the stripe, we have the white stripe after that, the Swedish, which would make sense considering the car that this is. We have two-tone, which trying to figure out what that actually does. It's probably because of the color of my vehicle. We have the red pinstripe, then we have the livery, looks pretty nice. Half camo, the half camo is pretty awesome, I would say. Oh yeah, look at that. Something like that on the other car I thought would have been kind of cool as well, but at least we have it there. Then we have the HSW one there. And then finally on the bottom we have the HSW Elite livery. So I would say if you guys are into these, at least there's an option to put these on the car. Let's move down here to the mirrors now. We got primary, which I'll probably go with primary on there. We have carbon, and then the forged mirrors after that look pretty nice. And now moving over to the color of the car. So for this, I'm going to try to get this car to look kind of like the actual vehicle in real life. I know it's like white and green, I believe it is. So Let's do that now. We have the pearlescent secondary color. What does this actually change? Oh, so it does change the rims. Okay, so for this, I think I'm going to head over to lime green, and I don't know how this is actually going to look, but let me find it here. Lime green. Got the trim color. I'll leave this graphite. Moving down to the roof now, so we have that. We have the carbon, pinstripe. I'll go with the pinstripe on there. And I'll probably just leave the regular hood on the top of this and or the roof. Side panel here, you can actually do something with it. I believe that's forged, I want to say. Yeah, let's add that to it. Then we have the skirts here. So we have the secondary skirt, we have the forged, then we have the forged with the secondary skirt. What's also kind of surprising is the fact that many of the skirts are actually fitting the vehicle for the most part. I have noticed, guys, some of the skirts and or some of the parts for these cars are not going to look all that good, but I would say this one definitely looks pretty awesome. So for this, I'll go with this one, I guess, to put on there. I might have to revisit the front, moving over to these spoilers now. So there will be a good amount of these. You have the HSW. There's 32 wings. I noticed, guys, when I was looking at the customization in the Arena Workshop, I believe there was like 15 or something like that, so there's not as many if you're not in here. So unfortunately, if you're not on next-gen consoles, you will be missing out on some of the customization for this car, which is definitely pretty unfortunate. There's going to be a lot of these, my goodness, but you guys probably know what wing I am looking for with this car. I really do want the one that looks like the actual Liesco and or the Jesco, my goodness. I'll call it both of those. Again, tomato, tomato. Let's keep going down the list here, though. So we have that one. That's the super wing. That looks sweet. There's the entity wing. This is the one I was looking for, so I'll have to go with the one with the green on it. I do believe that's actually how the wing on this car does look, and that dude really is in the way. I actually bought multiples of these for no reason. Way to waste like 90K. Moving over to the suspension, let's lower that down. Transmission's 50,000. Turbo is $100,000. So again, guys, if you really do want this vehicle, expect like $3.5 million at least or so. I think this thing's going to be one of the most expensive cars in the game. Also, let me know in the comments below, what do the low grip tires actually do for something like this? I personally don't use them. I would expect the car to like drift a lot. I mean, kind of like in the name of it there. Moving over to the next thing though is going to be the windows, so a light smoke. And that's basically going to do it, guys. So I tried to get this car kind of close to the real life Koenigsegg. Let's go drive this thing and see how ridiculously fast this car is. So now spawning outside, it is going to be nighttime, which is kind of unfortunate, but at least we can see how the car is going to look. So I gotta give a lot of credit to Rockstar, guys. I mean, this car looks insane. I also really like the interior. I will show that here in a second, but look at the detail of the back of this engine as well. Like, I'm sure not all of it's going to be like perfectly detailed, but at least it has some type of detail to it, and you really can open this thing up in like a car show or something. So if I had to guess, I would say many players are really going to love this thing, even though it's going to be over $3 million. And my goodness, look at the forged part on there as well. Like, you can actually see the detail of that. But man, guys, I am really impressed with this thing so far. I mean, the car is going to be insanely expensive, but now we have a new vehicle for how special works, which I would say is probably going to make many players angry because they will not have the access to the speed and or some of the customization this car does have. So now jumping right into the cockpit view in the new Entity MT, I would say this thing is going to look pretty sweet, and I would say most players are probably not going to be looking at the odometer when doing like 160 plus miles an hour. I'm also wondering how fast this car is going to be able to reach, and I have a feeling the acceleration is probably going to be a little bit ridiculous on this, but for the most part, I would say the interior is definitely going to be pretty nice, but I wonder how many people might not like it because this car is definitely pretty expensive. But then again, we have a new Koenigsegg in GTA, and I do believe the only other game I've seen this car in, at least at the moment, is going to be the Crew 2. Alright, now we definitely have to go drive this car around because I'm honestly dying to see how this thing is going to drive. So let's go back this way here, if I can actually drive. So guys, I would say this might possibly be one of the fastest cars in the game now. I mean, look at this acceleration. I'm already doing 160 apparently with the bumps. Like, this thing is honestly insane. Sure, the odometer might be kind of wrong, but these Special Works cars are insanely fast in general, and my goodness, look at this. This thing is insane. How fast it is. I mean, I would expect it from a Koenigsegg. I mean, I wasn't expecting the car to be slow. One of the funniest things is I was honestly expecting this car to be insanely fast in general, even without the HSW upgrade, and when I saw you can actually take the car in there, I was like, oh man, it's gonna probably be the fastest car in the game, and my goodness, guys, this might actually be my favorite car in the game now to drive around. Like, it's honestly that fun. I have to jump on the highway right now with this thing. Now, one thing I do want to mention though, watch out for the big wing on the back of this car because you can definitely get caught on stuff, so watch out for that. But let's see what we can do on the highway. So if I had to guess, I don't think they're going to make this car like much faster than the other ones, like over 160. So it's probably going to be about the same if I had to guess. I would say one of the biggest things is without the HSW upgrade, the car can probably do well over 130 if I had to guess. But right now, guys, on the highway, the car is completely redlined at like 163 miles an hour, which is probably what I was expecting. Again, the biggest thing though is I have noticed most of these special works cars are maxed out at like 160, so they really can't make one vehicle do like 170 or 180, then everybody would buy that car, and then no one's going to use the other one, so I definitely understand that, but my goodness, this thing is a blast. One of the funnest things about it is going to be the acceleration as well. Now, the Cyclone 2 does have the best acceleration considering the car is electric, but it also has the lowest top speed at 140 miles an hour, so depending on the one you guys might be doing, that car might struggle, but I have basically beat every single Special Works time trial with that car, so it's definitely fast enough. And the Koenigsegg looking MT here is probably going to be everybody's favorite new vehicle, at least until the other 12 cars are drip fed over the next 17 weeks. So before I do another speed test with the MT, I would say most players are aware this car is going to do about 160. I just need one more excuse to drive this car on the highway once again, but so far guys, I would say this is by far my favorite vehicle, which honestly is not hard to compare to like the BF Surfer and or something like the Camper, which by the way, I will be posting those videos in the coming days. Even though I would say many players are probably not going to want those cars, guys, the Entity MT is honestly going to be well worth it. I would say the biggest drawback is by far going to be the over $3 million price tag on this vehicle if you do get the Special Works update. If you guys do not get that, which unfortunately is only on next gen, it's probably going to be around like maybe $2.8 million, like 2.7, but 3.5 million is probably going to be kind of insane. That's like almost in the price range of like a Vigilante, but obviously going to be in different vehicle classes. I would think one has a rocket and missiles, one's also huge, and this car is like a hypercar. So I'm really happy to see this Koenigsegg in the game in particular because I really did love driving this thing on the Crew 2, and I was wondering when this car was going to show up in GTA, so I'm really happy to see it. And not only that, Rockstar did actually put the awesome HSW upgrade on it, which I really do think is going to hurt many players that are not on next gen. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. I'm really happy they did do the upgrade, but I would say any player that's on last gen is definitely going to be missing out on customization and or speed, because my goodness, this car is probably going to be one of the fastest and most fun cars to drive in the game right now.